My wife cheated with her ex, so I collected proof and took control of our business and my life. Together almost 10 years, married for 3. My wife, I'll call her Hannah, dated him, I'll call him Patrick, from ages 18 to 20, and then on and off for another year. We started dating when she was still seeing him. I was aware of him, and then I sort of gave her an ultimatum, saying that I wanted to make things serious. She cut him off. He ended up moving up north for work and stayed there for a number of years. We are 32, he's 41. This is going to be a long one. We are inseparable, both in our personal and professional lives, running a thriving small business together. Our friends often tease us about how perfect we are together and how we hardly fight. Despite this one issue, we have an incredibly happy and successful relationship. In business, we work well together, we see eye to eye. For the last 10 years, we've spent nearly every day together. Every now and then, she would run into Patrick, whether it was on special occasions like birthdays or holidays, or just by chance every few months. She stayed friends with him, and I was aware of this. I never felt threatened by him. She was very much done with him, or so she claimed. They would usually meet up for dinner or coffee for an hour or two to catch up. Oddly enough, I never saw him during these encounters. He made sure to keep his time with my wife private, concealing it from his own family. However, there have been times in all these years where we'd meet for a double date, or my wife and I would meet him for dinner, lunch, or breakfast together. He acted buddy-buddy with me, asked me questions about business, and we had some of the same hobbies in common. Honestly, it just felt like we had to be friendly to each other for the sake of Hannah. It was always puzzling to me why my wife continued to keep in touch with him, even after he repeatedly cheated on her while they were dating. From what she told me, he was a piece of crap to her. He'd actually back out of plans we'd all make together. He'd say he was coming over for a barbecue at our place but would cancel last minute. That happened quite a few times. She showed incredible dedication and care when she helped him recover from a serious motorcycle accident, feeding him in bed for months, taking care of him, bathing him, watching over his house. I didn't think much of it at first, and I trusted my wife's judgment, even though I strongly disagreed with her decisions to stay connected with someone who had hurt her multiple times. She'd always be quick to say, about any friends who did the same to me, that she'd want me to cut them off. But then I'd simply remind her of how she treated Patrick, and she'd kind of shut up. I should say that this Patrick fellow also comes across as an F-boy. He's always coming up with these dirty stories that seem inappropriate to say, especially to someone's wife, but Hannah always laughs and says, "That's just Patrick." I don't know. I'm not about it. One day, I noticed her phone light up on the coffee table and saw that he had sent her a super sexual joke, something that sort of crossed the line. It was something along the lines of basically asking her to be a third for him and his girlfriend at the time. And I say, girlfriend, but it was just a woman he'd hook up with every now and again. I was immediately taken aback and brought it up to her, explaining how inappropriate it was. She assured me she would talk to him and that it would never happen again. She tried to tell me that it was just him, that he was harmless, and that he didn't mean anything by it. I chalked it up to him being a sleaze bag. However, a few months later, I caught him doing the same thing again, and I was beyond freaked out. I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was just not right. So when she fell asleep, I went through her texts. As uncomfortable and disgusting as it was, I needed to know. What I found were more sexual jokes, and even some texts criticizing me. In a fit of rage, I immediately woke her up, scrolling through the messages with her and basically forbid her from seeing him ever again if this behavior continued. I said it's totally inappropriate for him to be messaging her like this, no matter how close of friends they were. I said no other male friend sends her things like this, and he's totally disrespecting me and our relationship. She stopped seeing him and messaging him for several months after that incident. After a year or so, she managed to convince me to be okay with it once again, maybe because he needed some real estate advice and we happened to work in the field. Or maybe I was just worn down after a year. Either way, I agreed to meet up for coffee with Hannah. It seemed fine and normal for some time, but I couldn't shake off the unease, and continued reading their texts, which disgusted me. Eventually, I found more inappropriate jokes from him. I reached my breaking point and firmly declared that this would be the last time this happens, or I'd be leaving. I said, "If this happens again, she's clearly disrespecting me." She tried to say that he's always been like this, and it's pretty harmless. It's just his sense of humor. I said, "No. I'm not having it. I'm serious, Hannah. I'm not going to let another man talk to my wife like that." From then on, she promised not to engage in conversations like that with him and would only communicate about work-related matters. Now, a year later, somehow, once again, dumbass me, I come around to allowing them to hang out. But I'm not happy about it, and I don't hold back from telling her so. And it becomes our sole problem in our relationship. It becomes all we fight about. King hate him. But I love her so much, so I let her. And it's only every couple of months or so, whatever. Anyway, fast forward to the last couple of months. I notice they are talking way more often. She's going into a different room if he calls. Her voice totally changes. Lots of phone calls and texts. She's laughing after reading whatever he sends her. Yeah, we have access to each other's locations because we're married. And I came home late from work a few times and took my time coming back from a men's hockey league on more than one occasion, and she had a fit. So she insisted on sharing our locations together. Sure, I'm not guilty of anything, other than being a little late. Well, Patrick ends up finding a job in the city near us and moves back. I never thought to check in on her, but now I can't help myself. Every time she goes out, I'm checking her location. She's not home one day. She seemed a bit skittish, telling me that she was going to a friend's place to help her organize her closet. I'm like, okay. She's never been one to organize anything in her life. I didn't believe a word she said, but I hoped I was wrong in assuming she was with Patrick. I look, and I see that she was at an unfamiliar address. Curious, I gave her a call and asked her what she's up to. Her voice sounds strange, and she tells me she's at a friend's house. I'm like, what friend? She's like, Dan's. I'm like, doesn't Dan live on the south side? She's like, yeah. Why? And I'm like, I know where Danica lives, and it's not the location that you're currently at. Say hello to Patrick for me. She tries to say something, but I cut her off and hang up the phone. She tries to call me, but I don't answer. She comes home, terrified that she's been caught spending time with him and telling a lie. The thought of getting caught makes her so anxious that she starts throwing up. We get in this huge fight and I tell her that I'm leaving. I've packed a bag. She's on the ground, dry heaving and hyperventilating. We're supposed to meet with one of these big clients for work the next day, but I tell her not to bother coming to work, or I'll have her arrested for trespassing. She's literally sobbing at my feet as I'm leaving the house. The next day, she doesn't show up to work. My mind is racing. I'm trying to deal with one of our biggest clients, but my mind isn't all there. It's torture. She texts me, and it's full of apologies, for lying about where she was and for the fight that night. But she insists that nothing happened with Patrick. She said she only lied because she didn't want me to get mad, because she knew I wouldn't be happy with her going to his house by herself. She said he needed a hand unpacking the last of his stuff. I try to keep my cool and focus on the task at hand, but my thoughts are consumed by the truth behind her words, and my own insecurities. Despite his sporadic presence in her life over the years, I can't stop my mind from wandering to thoughts of him and comparing myself to him. He's incredibly wealthy, and I'm certainly not, despite our prosperous business. And yeah, Patrick is a pretty good-looking guy. He knows how to dress himself. He takes care of himself. He likes the finer things in life. These thoughts haunt me, even when we're together intimately. I try to brush them off, but they persist. I don't trust my wife with him. And that's what it boils down to. I stay the night at work. I text her and tell her not to come in again tomorrow. I decide that I'll go home the next day at lunch to talk to her. Like a psycho, for the last few days I've gone in and checked her location, but she's been at home the whole time. I'm thinking, okay, maybe this is all in my head. Maybe I'm the bad guy for treating her like this. Maybe I'm overreacting. The next day, I check her location before I leave work, and she's at home. I decide not to let her know I'm on my way and instead was going to surprise her. Well, I get there. Her car is in the driveway. Her phone is on the counter. But she's nowhere to be seen. I'm thinking, maybe she went for a walk. So I wait. Nothing. Her purse is gone. Her running shoes are in the closet. But her keys to lock up are gone. Someone must have come to pick her up. She left her phone at home so I wouldn't know her location. So I had a hunch. I remember the address of his house. And I think, before I head back to work, I'm going to drive by, just to see what I find. I parked down the street from the house and decided I was going to walk up to it. If anything, I'd walk up to the door and pop in just to say hi. I get to the house, and there's a big bay window. As my eyes adjust, I can see into the window, just enough to see Hannah and Patrick sitting on the couch. She's on his lap, kissing him. Her arms are wrapped around him. I pause for a few seconds in shock. Then I pull out my phone and start taking photos and video. I walk up to the window, and they're too enthralled with each other to notice I'm there. Then I bang on the glass. Suddenly, they jump up and see me. I'm like, smile for the camera. I make it back to work and think of all the times they must have been together. Out of the dozens and dozens of times I let them hang out, it can't just be this one time, right? My trust in her is completely shattered. I can't believe those were the only 2 times they met up, despite all the suggestive and sexual texts between them. She expects me to believe they only made out for a short time? We are adults, for God's sake. Who just makes out these days? And even if it were the truth, it doesn't change the fact that I had expressed my discomfort with the relationship for years. She always brushed it off and tried to convince me it was nothing, even though she knew it bothered me deeply. Even her own friends and family have scolded her for seeing him after how he hurt her before. How could she do this to our relationship? Was anything ever real? I'm partially to blame. I should have stopped things from the start. I should have walked away earlier. But I wanted to trust her. I wanted to believe, so badly, that he was nothing but a friend who didn't know how to stay within the boundaries. He was clearly never threatened by me. He knew exactly what he was doing. Do you think she ever moved on from him? Maybe she convinced herself that their relationship was just a friendship. And now she'll do anything to get his attention. Has anyone else experienced this? What should I do? I hate that I have to share this. I don't want our mutual friends to find out. Wow, OP, you're living proof that love is blind, deaf, and occasionally dumb as a brick. Let's face it. The fact that your wife continues to prioritize her relationship with Patrick over your expressed concerns and the stability of your marriage speaks volumes. It indicates a significant emotional investment in him, one that surpasses the boundaries of a platonic friendship. Her willingness to deceive you about her whereabouts and activities only reinforces the idea that there's something more than meets the eye. Leaving a relationship is never easy, especially when there are years of history and emotional investment involved. But ultimately, you deserve a partner who respects and values your feelings, prioritizes your relationship, and is committed to building a future together based on mutual trust and understanding. If your wife is unable or unwilling to meet those basic requirements, it may be time to reevaluate the viability of your relationship and consider whether it's in your best interest to move on. Update. Alright, it's been 3 months. I've talked to a divorce attorney about separation and divorce. That's been messy, because we own a business together. I was a nervous wreck for a few weeks after sending her the formal notification. She tried to deny everything and even tried to countersue me for defamation and emotional distress. But I had all the evidence, and she knew it. I had to include all relevant communications, texts, photos, and videos that confirmed her actions. So that was also fun. The funny thing about that is, she was in breach of a partnership agreement we signed when we started the business. I was able to formally notify Hannah in writing that she was in breach of the agreement due to her infidelity. This notification clearly outlined the specific provision she violated, and the consequences of her breach. Thus, she's about to no longer be a co-owner or business partner. Sucks to suck. Guess she should have thought of this when she was sucking face with Patrick. All of this means that she's going to be transferring her ownership shares to me. At the same time, the house was under my name, and my father had co-signed for us at the time. So she's been out of the house. She went to stay with her cousin, and then eventually moved in with Patrick. My heartbreaking conversations with some of our mutual friends confirmed what I'd feared all along: she never moved on from Patrick. She would talk about him constantly with some of our friends, and they always thought it was suspicious. One of our friends, Lynn, even said that she told Hannah, "If you mention him one more time, I'm going to tell your husband everything." Lynn apologized for not telling me sooner. I've sought therapy to help me cope with the emotional turmoil. And more importantly, I've learned to forgive myself for the mistakes I made in our relationship. I've sought solace in new friends and hobbies, and I'm slowly gaining back my sense of self. I know it's hard to believe, but honestly, it's a relief in a way, right? I've been carrying this weight of doubt and mistrust for years, and now I finally have the proof confirming what I feared all along. Some of her friends didn't even see it coming. They thought all was sunny in Coolsville. Signing off. Well, would you look at that? It seems like Lady Luck has finally decided to grace me with her presence. Despite the drama and chaos of the past few months, I've managed to come out on top. Who would have thought that my ex-wife's infidelity would end up being the golden ticket that secures my future? It's like the universe decided to throw me a bone after all the heartache. Sure, discovering the truth was a bumpy ride, but hey, at least I arrived at the station with my sanity mostly intact. Update 2. It's been 10 months now since I filed for divorce. The business? Officially mine. What? Relief. Lynn told me that Hannah had called her up recently, asking to stay with her, because she uncovered that Patrick was seeing someone else behind her back. So she moved out. And she's back at her cousin's. Ironic, isn't it? She still doesn't have a job. She's been trying to start her own thing, but let's be honest, she's building it from scratch since I retained all the clientele. She was unable to transfer any existing business. Why? Because I was the one who contributed the majority of the business acumen to our endeavors. As I continue to rebuild my life, I find myself wondering, what was it about me that made me so blind to the truth? It's unsettling to think I could have been so wrong about someone I loved. Our mutual friends have been incredibly supportive throughout the entire ordeal. Even though some of them were taken aback by the revelations, they've offered to help, whether with the business, or just being there as I navigate this new chapter of life. I appreciate them more than words can express. I decided to take my friend's advice and dip my toes back into the dating world. It was nerve-wracking at first, but meeting new people helped me realize that there is more to life than dwelling on the past. I've gone on a few dates, some good, some not so good. But each one taught me something about myself, and about what I'm truly looking for in a partner. She's pretty great so far. But we're just having fun and getting to know each other. Life is moving forward. I've learned my lesson about trust and communication. And I'm no longer willing to compromise on those things in a relationship. I'm grateful for the lessons I've learned, and for the relationships I've built throughout this journey. It's been a difficult road, but I've come out stronger and wiser. I'm excited to see what the future holds, and to continue moving forward in life. And isn't it just the icing on the divorce cake to hear that Hannah's back at square one, bunking up with Lynn, after her own dose of relationship drama with Patrick? The irony is so thick, you could cut it with a chainsaw. It's no surprise she's struggling to find her footing, especially without the business backbone I provided. Building something from scratch isn't easy, especially when you're starting from ground zero. But hey, she made her bed. Now she's got to lie in it. As for my journey back into the dating world, well, consider me impressed with myself. It takes guts to throw yourself back out there after a roller coaster like this. And hey, if this new flame is sparking some joy, why not let the good times roll? Life's all about moving forward, learning from the past, and not settling for anything less than what you deserve. You've earned your stripes. You've learned your lessons. You've emerged from the fire, stronger and wiser. Here's to the future, OP. What do you make of this? Have you had a similar experience? Share it with us in the comments below. Thanks for joining us today. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. See you soon.